How well would you say you know yourself? What kind of person are you? What are you? Could you do a good job summarizing your life? Well, the answer to that question is, of course not. Nobody can. It's impossible. Right now, you're experiencing a tiny little sliver of your existence. You're just what you are in April of 2022, right? Uh, how similar are you now to what you were when you were 10 years old? Um, that 10-year-old, that was you. It's definitely you, right? Same person. But how different are you now from what you were then? I mean, there's not a single cell in your 10-year-old body that still exists now. Everything's different. And your personality, I mean, no doubt you share some traits with your 10-year-old self. There's some traits that still exist, but for the most part, you're a totally different person now, right? How much of what's true of you now was actually true of you then? In many ways, you have a lot more in common with someone else now, your own age, different person, than you have with your 10-year-old self. And how much of your earlier self do you even remember? I mean, a few snapshots here and there, but for the most part, the vast majority of moments in your life have been long forgotten. You'll never remember them again. And how about your future self? What are you going to be 20 years from now? You have no idea. Think of your life like a stream winding its way through a bunch of mountains. And every moment of your life is like a boat somewhere on that stream. You can't see, each of the boats can't see the other boats. You can't see ahead into the future. You can't see around the bend. But God, imagine God sitting up on top of the mountain looking at the whole river all at once. You can see the whole thing all the same. So your 5-year-old self, your 90-year-old self, he sees just as clearly as the self he sees right now. He can see it all. In Psalm 139, David rejoices over the fact that God sees him. He loves the being deeply and thoroughly known by God and rejoices in that. So Psalm 139, verse 13, you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. My frame was not hidden from you when I was in the secret place, when I was woven together in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. All my days, beginning to end. And not only does God know my past and my future, he's deeply attentive to me now in the present. He pays attention to me. Verse 1, O Lord, you have searched me, and you know me. You know when I sit and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. You discern my going out and my lying down. You're familiar with all my ways. Before a word is on my tongue, you know it completely, O Lord. You hem me in, behind and before. You've laid your hand upon me. The version of me that I know best exists right now. But even that version, God knows far deeper than I know. He knows my thoughts before I have them. And when I don't understand my own thoughts, my own feelings, my own motives, he does. He does. He knows exactly where that last wild hair came from, even though I have no idea. And wherever I go next, God will already be there. Verse 7, where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. If I rise on the wings of the dawn and settle on the far side of the sea, even there your hand will guide me. Your right hand will hold me fast. If I say, surely the darkness will hide me and the light become night around me, even the darkness will not be dark to you. For night is as light to you, the night will shine like the day. The word translated presence in this passage is the Hebrew word for face. It's just the Hebrew word for face, normal word. The point here isn't just that God exists everywhere. Like wherever I go, there he'll be. Like he's some kind of expansive gas that just fills every space. That's not the idea. The point here is that wherever I go, God will be there turning his face toward me in a relational way, revealing himself to me and showing me favor. That's what he's saying. God doesn't just know the version of you that will exist in the year 2040. He will be there turning his face toward you in the future, toward that future you, laying his hand on your shoulder and guiding you. And that's even true if you die in 2025. If you're one of his children, even in the deepest darkness, the darkest place, the darkness of the grave, his hand will be on you. He'll be with you. Just like the little girl who died in Mark chapter 5, and Jesus took her by the hand and said to her, Talitha cum. Cum means get up. Talitha, that's a term of endearment that parents would use when they're waking up their child from sleep. Like, hey, wake up, sweetie. It's time to get up. That's what Jesus said to this dead girl. He took her by the hand, took his hand in her hand in his, and said, time to get up, sweetie. Wake up. And he'll do that someday to you. But when he does it for you, it won't be like it was for that little girl. She woke up in her old body. When he does it for you, when Jesus wakes you up, you're going to find yourself in a new, incorruptible, glorified body. And your relationship with God at that time will be something beyond anything you've ever imagined before. You can't even think of what it would be. 1 John 3:2 says, dear friends, now we are the children of God. What we will be has not yet been made known. But we know that when he appears, we will be like him, for we shall see him as he is. So when God looks down from the mountain on the river of your existence, and he sees the boat at each point, all the different points of your life, which one of those is the real you? Which one, all those versions, they're so different. Which one is the real one? Which one matters the most? Well, we always just naturally think, well, it's the one right now, right? That's the me. I mean, that's the real me. You're the person who's right now watching this video, right? That's the real you. Not your 5-year-old self or whatever. But is that version of you, is that the one that really defines you? That matters most to God? No. The real you is not that version. It's not that. The real you isn't that when you were a single cell in your mother's womb. The most important version of you isn't the version that was running around in diapers at age 2, and it's not the version in the spring of 2022. The real you is the one that takes up the vast majority of that meandering stream. The period from your birth until your death, that's just the headwaters. That's just the very, very beginning of that stream. The real you is the long, unending river that happens after the resurrection. When God thinks of you, that's the version of you he thinks of most. That's what defines you in his eyes, is that version. And that version of you is so thoroughly pleasing and delightful to God that he smiles on you even now. No wonder David had to pause in this psalm and say in verse 6, such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too lofty for me to attain.